I'm Coach Adam. Thank you for purchasing CoachAdam's Volley Trainer. I'm going to walk you through how to get it set up and get you started with it. All right, let's take a look at the Volley Trainer. The Volley Trainer is lightweight. Now that's by design. We don't want anything to add weight to the racket. When you're using the trainer, you should feel as though the racket has nothing on it other than the trainer helping you develop the right technique and the right grip. The Volley Trainer has two ends. It has an end with a strap. That's going to be where you attach to your arm. It has a Velcro strap up above that separates the Volley Trainer's end. That's where the racket is going to be inserted. The middle strap is just that. It's an additional strap that can be used to cinch down the Volley Trainer in a way that if somebody is moving the racket a little more than they should, changing their grip, having trouble keeping it in place, that secondary strap can be used. Excellent for coaches that are using this to work with their students. Now let's get the racket inside and let's see how that works. So I'm going to open up the end of the Volley Trainer and I'm going to take my racket and I'm going to insert it inside. Now you can start off by attaching it and cinch this down until you've got it just right. The racket can move a little bit, so you'll need to find a place that's comfortable. You can use the secondary strap as well to kind of cinch it down at the other end if that's where you need to keep it, depending on the arm length that you have. Now, where do I want to set up the other end? This end here, I want it closer to my elbow. I don't want it near my forearm or my wrist. I need this standing up a little bit. Now, I'm ready. There's that little gap there that you see with the racket. The racket is lined up with my Volley Trainer. That's what I want. I don't want to turn the racket, no pancaking. This is not what we're going to be using it for. We're developing the Continental Grip for volleys. We're going to help you in a moment here find the Continental Grip, but it's very easy once this is on, just like you're opening a door, moving the racket from side to side. Just start with that. Begin with just allowing your arm to move back and forth, sweeping the racket, and notice the entire time the head of the racket is lined up with the Volley Trainer for the most part. Now, this is very important. The racket trainer encourages you to allow the racket to fall from side to side. Let's do that as a little exercise. Your arm is elevated as if it's resting on an armchair and the racket is falling from side to side. There's no wrist movement here. This is coming from your forearm, supination, pronation. Same thing happens as I turn the racket out to the side. Now as I'm sweeping from side to side, I'm going to add the supination, the pronation on either side. If it's my forehand, little supination, let it open. If it's on my backhand side, little pronation, let it swing to the side. That's what we're going to begin with before we start making contact with the ball. One of the best things you can do is at home, just practice that, allowing the racket to swing back and forth. Find that your hand is relaxed on the racket. Maybe a balloon. You're taking a balloon and you're just kind of bumping it up. You're bumping it up. That's something that's very slow and easy to use. You can also just toss a tennis ball up and just bump it. Bump it. I'll do that with one of my tennis balls here. So I'm just going to toss it up and I'm just going to bump it. And I'll bump it. Getting used to that feeling of the racket coming through. Let's find the Continental Grip. On my racket, I have drawn these lines symbolizing the edges of the grip. Just 1, 2, 3. There's 8 edges of the racket. Now we're really interested in line 1 and line 2. You can see them there. This edge, line 1, comes from the edge of your racket. The next edge, line 2, is our landmark for the Continental Grip. if I shake hands with my racket, my knuckle is on line 2. The racket is straight up and down. I'm quite comfortable. If I ran my finger down line 1, I wouldn't run into my knuckle. If I ran my finger down line 2, I would run into my knuckle. And you can also line 1 that you're going to run into it. The knuckle is above the height of the racket. The common mistake is for people to move to the Eastern grip. That's number 3. Now that's great for hitting balls with the Eastern, but what you have to do with your wrist to adjust to hit a volley makes that really inconsistent. There's no adjusting when your knuckle is on line 2. So line 1, this edge right here, and line 2, if I can slide across that edge and run into my knuckle, I am in Continental Grip. And the only movement that I'm going to be concerned about is Supination Pronation, just allowing the racket to fall back and forth, combined with my arm moving out to the side and back. Now that's at the beginner initial level. There are other things that you're going to learn to do eventually as you get that down, where maybe the racket has a little more length away from you. That's fine. That's where we're going to start getting a little more of that underspin. But again, even if it's out and extended a little bit further, the only movement is supination pronation. It's not wrist. There's no chopping. This is what we're trying to get away from. With the Volley Trainer, again, it allows you to make those adjustments so I can have the racket extended a little bit further. Let's go ahead and look at that. I'm going to undo this extra strap here, and I'm going to cinch it down up above so my racket is not going to slide down any further. And you can kind of see it in action. See how it's on that angle there? And if I supinate and come through, the racket is level as it's coming through and I'm making contact. I tell my students to be in a slightly backhand position in their ready position, because anything at your body is going to be your backhand. There are more backhand shots than there are forehand shots. If we're standing straight out in front, we don't know which way to go. If I'm standing with a slight backhand posture, that ready position, I'm ready for anything that's coming to my backhand, and I can quickly get to my forehand as well. Now, here's a little tip if you're starting out. Supinate, we'll call that tip. Tip, rather than just your arm going out to the side, because I want my body's orientation is also part of the volley, tip, step out. Ah, look at that. I'm going to do it from the side here. My shoulder now is coming with the racket. And that's the position that I want to be on. I'm striking the ball across my body, not very much. It's only about the width of your shoulders that you make that volley. But on the forehand side, think tip, turn. The turn is the step. Tip, turn. Let's look at it on the backhand side. We're going to do something interesting, because notice on the forehand side we've got the racket laid back. We're going to do punch, as if with my right hand here, I'm going to just kind of extend it a little bit, and as I do that, I naturally get that pronation where the racket head is laying down. I'm going to punch, turn. That laid the racket back. Let's look at it here. Punch, turn. That's how I want to make my volley. Now, figuratively, not literally, we want to maintain a distance between the racket and you. The racket should be about upper torso, head height, not above your head, not down here. If I have to go low, it's my body coming down, but you'll see the height of the racket and where it is. This is going to give you the best rebounding effect, the best volleying effect. If I'm reaching too far and it's a heavy ball, that ball may just come right through my racket. I need to take those extra steps and stay close, relatively close. Eventually, as you get better with your timing. You're going to find that you can further yourself a little bit away. But as you begin, let's think, oh, I want it really close. Sometimes I tell my students, pretend you've got a piece of floss. It's attached to the racket and hooked to your tooth, and you're going to pull your tooth out if you reach too far. Get your body close to the racket as you are volleying. Keep it shoulder, head height as you're volleying. Allow your feet to get you to the ball before you volley. So this is a quick start, giving you a few things to begin with, and start using the Volley Trainer. Start out just with shadowing. Go get a balloon, start hitting a balloon with it. Notice if you're keeping the Continental Grip and then you're not turning your racket. Look how the racket is not lined up with the volley grip anymore. I need to keep it, for the most part, within reason. There's going to be a little play there. I need to keep it lined up with the Volley Trainer. And you may need to make some adjustments also with the arm strap. There's a tendency to drop the wrist, and when the wrist does, look how flat it comes. Well, I don't want to drop the wrist too much. I need to keep the racket head higher, a little bit more towards me. That's going to maintain this angle, or this, you see this little triangle here underneath the racket and the Volley Trainer. Give it a shot, guys. Thank you for purchasing the Volley Trainer. I hope this helps you with your volleys, and that it creates an opportunity for you to use a skill, a tactic that doesn't get utilized throughout the entire court. Especially for beginning players or juniors, we tend to just migrate to the net and volley from there, and you can volley any way you want. But if you want to learn how to take balls out of the air anywhere on the court, I think this device is really going to help you. Any comments, any questions, feel free to contact me, CoachAdam at volleytrainer.com.